Okay, guys, today we're doing a Chicago riverboat ride. Vamos, Dirty Bro Go. We're on the riverboat. Well, the river walk. Come down the stairs. Where the stairs are. The stairs are down there. You come down the stairs, come down. So be it. Get in line. All right, vamos. Line moving pretty good. And this is our boat that we're getting on. It's called Our Lady. We're just doing the sightseeing tour, so yeah. I don't know how much of the river we're actually going to see, but I think we will see a lot of it. Dirty line moving pretty fast. They give you this little receipt and you have to, I guess they scan the receipt, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. A lot of camera stuff.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. I guess you get a fan. Woo, I need this. Good Lord. Oh man, I need that fan, bro. Man, it's super hot out here. Hey, thank you.
Watch up right here. Upstairs to your left.
I know we just left Vegas. It was 106, but it didn't feel like this. Well, it was kind of hot in Vegas, but I don't know. This feels like a little bit hotter, or at least on the same level. Let's see if I can find a seat in the back somewhere, like about right here. Say hey, hey, hey. All right. I think it takes off at 1:30 and it's almost 1:30. All right. I guess we'll come back when the tour starts. All right. Vamos.
Aboard First Lady, we are on Little Lady today. This mic is very hot, physically, not, sorry. My name is Chris, I'll be your tour guide today. I'm going to start out with a little bit of safety stuff. So the first thing is that our vessel is Marine and Coast Guard licensed and inspected, which means we have everything that we need to keep you guys safe and us safe in case of an emergency. One of those things is our life vest. They're going to be found in this fake green smokestack. They're also going to be found in front of the pilot house and downstairs in the salon and either side of those closets. The other thing involves a little bit of audience participation, so I please ask that you do nothing other than sit in these chairs around you. I also ask that you keep all of your extremities inside the vessel. That means upwards as well, so please, we're going to be going under some very low bridges. I know the human instinct is to want to reach up and touch it. You don't want to, I promise. It will bite you back and you will end up with a new plague. So please do not touch the bridge. I also ask that you watch out for the thresholds that we have. We have a 6-inch raised threshold. It is Coast Guard regulated that we do that. So please do not trip, especially if you are getting hot. Just look out for yourself, look out for others. Make sure that you're stepping above that. It's bright yellow, please don't miss it. I also ask that you do not smoke or vape. I promise if you think you can get away with it, you can't. There's tiny alarms and they will go off and you will be more embarrassed than us. So please do not do that. All right, everybody, we are underway. Welcome to Chicago. It is a very hot day, so please, I will give you reminders to continue to drink water, but please drink water if you're feeling hot. The first building I want to talk about is this building right over here on our right-hand side. It's going to have the glass walls with the top on top that looks like a laptop. That's because it was intentionally designed that way. That is called the Apple Store. Now, it wasn't always the Apple Store. It used to be the location of Pioneer Court. In the 1600s, Jean-Baptiste Pont de Sable came to Chicago and created the first trading post that was here. It was the biggest of its kind, and it was a powerhouse. He also was married to a woman named Kitty Howard, who was a Potawatomi woman of great status. She spoke all 6 languages of the indigenous tribes, and together those two were the first power couple of Chicago. All right, this is one of those bridges I talked about, y'all. And when we get out from underneath this bridge, on our left-hand side, you're going to see a curved building with what looks like a little temple on the top. It's beige, you can see it now. It's called the London House Guarantee. It used to be insurance for boat companies, so if you had an accident or something went wrong, they could provide you with some aid. Now, it is a hotel. It serves us now. So, if you guys want to check out the rooftop bar, you do not have to be staying in the hotel to get a nice drink there. And while it may be a little bit pricey, that's okay, because you get to go all the way to the tippy top and enjoy a lovely drink while overviewing the entire Chicago River. Now, if alcohol's not your cup of tea, tea is mine. They also offer afternoon tea, and it also has a lovely visual of the Chicago River. If you've never had afternoon tea before, I encourage you to check it out. It's very low-key. It's very, very fun. Another building that I want to talk about, also on our left-hand side, is the Jewelers Building. So this building is beige. It's going to have the 4 temples surrounding it and this bigger temple in the center. It's called the Jewelers Building because it was built in the 1920s. And what was running around during the 1920s? Al Capone and his gangsters. So the jewelers were a little afraid to run around with their merch. And so the Jewelers Building was built in an attempt to comfort people and allow them to be able to sell their stuff and not worry about being robbed. How did they do that? Well, this building was the first building with a car elevator put into the center. So jewelers could just drive on into this building and go straight up to their office. Gangster free. All right, another building I want to discuss. It's coming up on our left-hand side. It's this black-looking pinstripe suit building. This is an example of postmodernism. Modernism means less is more, and postmodernism was those folks saying, what if we added something for spice? So if you look at this building, it's going to be 35 West Wacker Drive. Right here, here he is in all his glory. This is the Leo Burnett Building. It is home to many Chicago famous people, such as Tony the Tiger, the Jolly Green Giant, and Mayhem from Allstate. That is because this building is the home of the Leo Burnett Advertising Agency. Now, a good contrast between 2 postmodernism buildings and a brutalist building. We have the pinstripe building on the left-hand side. We have the brutalism building with the 55 all the way at the top. It looks like a weird little hashtag. And then we have another postmodernism building on the right-hand side. It's going to have those beautiful glass mirrored windows. Now, when we come out from under this bridge, look at this beautiful glass mirrored glass building over here. Can anybody tell me what they think that might be inspired by? Alright, it was inspired by ancient Greece. It's called the Parthenon on a stick. So if you look all the way to the tippy top, you're going to see those beautiful, beautiful Parthenon-like temple columns. And then down on the street level, you can see those beautiful curved tops and the triangles. I want to talk about this building on the left-hand side. It's going to look like a giant throne. It's going to have an American flag in the center of it. It's beige. Right here, you can see it now on the left-hand side. So, in 1927, Chicago had a city ordinance. They saw the city of New York and they got nervous because there are many places in New York City in which the sun and air never sees the street. And so Chicago had a city ordinance that said if you want to build past a certain height, you have to set your building back. So you can see in this throne-like looking building that they build to a certain height and then they set it back, allowing airflow and the lovely sun to come and pelt us on this hot day. In the winters, it's very important for Chicago to have that so that we are not left in despair and we can have the tiny, tiny bits of sun that we get. All right. On our right-hand side, I want to mention the Chicago Cut Steakhouse building. It's this one right here. So this building is what is called a Platinum LEED building. LEED is the leading energy and environmental design, which means they are very, very, very cognitive of their environmental impact. How does this building get platinum? Well, one of the reasons is they take hundreds of gallons of the Chicago River, they pump it into their building, they use it to cool off through their AC, and then they purify it and pump it back into the Chicago River. On the right-hand side, coming out from underneath this bridge, is a massive behemoth of a building. This is the Merchandise Mart. The front of this, the facade, is 2 football fields big. Inside are 6 football fields. It has its own zip code. It has its own CTA stop. This is a massive building. And if you look on our left-hand side, you're going to see a little thing with a bunch of projectors inside of it. That is because those projectors actually project an art installation onto this Merchandise Mart every Thursday through Sunday at 9 o'clock. It's completely free. I encourage you to check it out. This was built by the merchandise masters at the time, so think Marshall Fields and Montgomery Ward. And if you look along the base, you can actually see the little Pez heads. Those are all of the merchandise masters at the time. And why are they facing away from us? Because a merchandise master never changes his back, turns his back on the merch. On the right-hand side, I want you guys to look actually at this little railing that's along the river walk. You'll see a Y with a circle. That is because we are approaching the confluence. So the confluence is basically where all 3 parts of the Chicago River meet. So they created this symbol as our municipal device. So you can find this throughout Chicago. It's a fun little scavenger hunt that you can do. I'll give you one of the hints. If you go to the Chicago Theater and you look at the sign, look behind the C. You'll be able to see. I want you guys to look on the lower part of this. See those little portholes with fans inside of them? Those are exhaust vents to get rid of the exhaust from the railroad tracks that are underneath those buildings. So the building that you see here, and also along here have railroad tracks running underneath them because the railroad decided that they could make something called air rights, which means you would have to purchase the rights above the railroad to build above it. And so these buildings did. A great example of that is this right here, this curved little building with the green and blue glass. This is 333 West Wacker, and you can notice at its base. All right, folks, we're going to jump into a little bit of a Chicago history lesson. So the current direction that we are going right now was the way that the Chicago River used to flow. However, if you take a little peek over the side of the boat, it's not flowing that way. It's flowing that way. So what happened? How did a river that used to flow this way go that way? Well, in the 1800s, Chicago consisted of about 300 people, and then it blew up in a very short amount of time. Think like 30, 40 years to 300,000 people. That's a lot of people in a very short amount of time. And we were also the industrial powerhouse of the time, which meant we were creating a lot of waste, specifically animal waste. We were the meat packing industry of the Midwest. So anytime we didn't like a part of the animal or didn't want to eat it, we tossed it in the river. Human waste, we tossed it in the river. You don't like your tour guide, toss her in the river. Don't. Anybody you didn't like, you could toss them in the river, and it became the garbage truck of the 1800s. So, unfortunately, there were reports at the time that the river was so nasty it became the consistency of chocolate pudding. There were also reports that tiny critters could run across it and scurry without getting their feet wet once. So people started to get sick. If you think about it, our fresh water comes from Lake Michigan, so that chocolate pudding is going into the lake. That's not good. People were getting dysentery, cholera, every Oregon Trail disease that you could possibly think of, they were getting. So, what do? We call in a man who's a genius and a little bit crazy and a little bit of both. His name was Ellis Chesborough, and he had 3 ideas to fix this problem here in Chicago. The first one was to raise the city by 5 feet on stilts and install a sewer system. That worked for a little bit, but it was still going into the river because the sewer system would just pour into the river. So there was still chocolate pudding. Sorry. The other idea was the solution to pollution is dilution. So he decided to come up with the idea to build water cribs about 3 miles outside of Lake Michigan that would pump fresh water into the river and dilute that chocolate pudding and kind of try to break it up and hope that it would change things. It did for a little bit until it rained. And none of it mattered, and it continued to leak into Lake Michigan. So the man came up with something even crazier. What if we use gravity? If we create a canal that runs in the opposite direction of the Chicago River, if you dig it deep enough, if you dig it deeper than the depth of Lake Michigan and the Chicago River, you will be able to force the river to flow backwards using gravity. This was a crazy idea. It had never been done before, but they tried it. They ended up making a canal that took 8 years to make, and it is 28 miles long. Hundreds and thousands of Irish immigrants worked very, very hard on this, and it did work. But we're not there yet, because a little place called St. Louis heard what we were doing. Is anybody from St. Louis? All right. So St. Louis heard what we were doing. And where's St. Louis? Down the Mississippi. They heard this chocolate pudding avalanche was coming towards us, and they decided to sue Chicago. And that made Chicago nervous. So what did they do? Instead of being like, oh, so sorry, St. Louis, we started digging faster. So in the cover of night, we picked up our shovels and dynamite. We went to the final canal, or the final dam in this canal. We blew up the dam, and lo and behold, the Chicago River flowed backwards. That chocolate pudding cleared out, and it was the first human feat of its time. It was something of extreme, extreme feat. It has never been done before, and I don't think it has been done since. But that is not the end of Chicago's woes. In fact, the Supreme Court dismissed the first case that St. Louis tried to bring against us because they visited St. Louis and they said, hey, you guys, we understand that Chicago's sending this avalanche of nastiness towards you, but what do you guys do with your waste? And they said, we toss it in the Mississippi. So they were doing the exact same thing that we were doing. The case was dismissed. However, that was not the last lawsuit. The next lawsuit, the lovely sounds of Chicago. Gotta love that good Chicago ASMR. Alright, so that wasn't the last lawsuit. Originally, we had started to drain Lake Michigan. So if you imagine a little water balloon and you stick a pin in it, the water balloon is Lake Michigan and the pin is our river. So we slowly started to drain the lake and people were like, where's our fresh water going? What happened? Chicago's fault, get them. So we had to make something to stop that leak. That thing is the Chicago Harbor Lock that we are about to go into. What a privilege to be able to go into that today, folks. I'll explain how the lock works. Basically, we're gonna go inside of this gate. There's a gate that's a riverside and there's a lakeside gate. The riverside gate is going to close behind us, and then in front of us, the lakeside gate will open and in will pour water. At that point in time, it becomes like a lovely little boat elevator. We will rise or fall 3 to 5 feet, depending on the level of water in the day, usually about 3 feet today. And then we will just make our way onto the lake. And that stops any excess water draining from Lake Michigan into the Chicago River. It is open 365 days of the year, 24/7. I have been asked how much it costs for us to go through. It is free. It's free for recreational boats and for us, which is pretty impressive. Not all locks are like that. We're in what's called the turning basin. So the turning basin is where all of the boats turn around. If you ever hear that phrase, it's pretty common when it comes to harbor locks. To the left of us is Navy Pier, which I will talk about a little bit. Has anybody gotten a Chicago dog yet? Huh. What are y'all doing? You gotta get a Chicago dog after this. You want one? All right. How was it? It was good, it was good. All right, good reviews of the Chicago dog. But there's lots of places to eat over at Navy Pier. We've also got a Margaritaville, which I have a personal story that Jimmy Buffett did go to that Margaritaville when he came to see his show, escaped to Margaritaville. He then skedaddled right on over there, and he was with 2 other famous people, Lin-Manuel Miranda, you might know who that is, and the McElroy brothers, you might also know who they are. They all went on over to Margaritaville, so if you're feeling fancy, you can take your own journey there. This is Henry, he's harmless. Bye, Henry. Yeah, he likes to say hi sometimes because we pass under his house when we go under the bridge. Navy Pier also has lovely things like an amusement park. It has a Ferris wheel, which I'll talk about later. It also has many, many restaurants, Margaritaville included. It has the Shakespeare Theater, which recently just put on Lord of the Rings, which is my favorite musical. Yes, there's a Lord of the Rings musical. Yes, there is. It's very good. All right, folks, we are starting to head into the lock. So after we go through the lock, we're gonna get onto Lake Michigan. It is very bumpy out there, so I encourage you, please, 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 hold onto the handrails when you're walking around. If you wanna see the lock work, I encourage you to go onto the bow. And if you wanna stay on the bow when we get onto the lake, that lake water on your face is quite nice and refreshing, and you'll dry off real quick because it's about to get real windy out there as well. Please hold on to your hats. I also ask that you don't stand near these little staircases. Any sort of bump can send you tumbling, and I don't want to have to do that paperwork, so please don't do that. If anybody wants any of their pictures taken, let me know. I am happy to take some pictures. Right behind us is my favorite view of Chicago, second only to the view that you are about to see on the lake. Feel free to ask me for pictures. I will be happy to take them. Feel free to ask any questions, use our restrooms downstairs, and visit your bartender, and don't forget to tip. Remember to please, please, please drink water. It is very hot today. Hydrate, folks. All right, I'm gonna hop off the mic, and I will see you guys when we are out of the lock.
Oh, fight the copyright. Fight the copyright. We're gonna fight it. We will fight the copyright. Guys, we're in the lock she was talking about, and we're going backwards. The boat is going side to side. We might have to go down and get something to drink. my thumbnail? Alright. Alright guys, don't put the camera down, I'm gonna take a picture of them. Let me get one. Let me get one. Let me get one. Nah, y'all for you for real? Oh man, come on, man. Alright. Alright. Okay, guys. I took a picture of them, but they wouldn't let me use them for a thumbnail. Okay, guys. Can you see all the other boats over here? Over there, that boat is kind of stealthy. Got Graham, got the blackest, grayest boat. Fight the copyright. Fight the copyright. Okay, guys.